I'm Jeff Hall, I'm Greg's uncle. We're here to mourn a loved one who died too young. But in our grief, let us try to find a measure of gratitude for having been part of Greg's life, for having been part of the life of someone who was extraordinary and whose life was extraordinary, despite his having died too soon. I can't help but say that if he were here now, Greg would ask just exactly who or what are we being grateful to. But he would ask the question quietly and selectively so that no one was offended. Let me tell you what's going to happen now. But before I do that, let me depart slightly from the script. I can see Pam squirming. Stick to the bloody script. Nowhere in these words from the family does it say that, does it say this. The family has worked and struggled with this day for the last week, and we've all been involved. But the real work, the real heavy lifting has been done by Larissa and Pam. And on behalf of the family, I'd like to thank them for that. And once again, it's the women who stand up. Let me depart one more time, and this will, if I keep departing, we'll still be here when the freeway comes back into force later this afternoon. And if that happens, we'll take a short break so that people can move their cars. Like other members of the family, I guess I had been quietly struggling for most of the week with the fear that we wouldn't today do Greg justice. And sometime yesterday, I stopped worrying about that because I realised that there was just no way in the world that we could do him justice. And we can never do our loved ones justice. I think we get close if they die in their 90s, but when someone dies, as Greg did, we don't even come close. The best we can do is our best. And what you'll see today, what you're part of today, is our best. Now I'm going back to the script. Let me tell you what is going to happen now, or rather let me tell you what we would like to happen. I'm going to read some words that Greg's mother, Noella, has written. If I am unable to continue, which is likely, Greg's Aunt Pam will take over. Then Pam will read some words that Greg's father, Bob, has written. Then I will read some words that I have written, and if I am unable to continue, Pam will take over. Then Pam will read some words that she has written. If at any stage Pam is unable to continue, then we are stuffed. This is from Nola. Greg was the most wonderfully intelligent and creative person who was so sensitive and caring for all creatures on this earth. He possessed both wit and wisdom, combined with incredible integrity and idealism. He was like a shining star. Greg's philosophical reflection and brilliance in mathematical symbolism as a logician in set theory was renowned worldwide. He was devoted to his research and to aspiring students in his field, both at the University of Melbourne and at UCLA in California, where he was a professor of mathematics. Greg was willing, where necessary, to sacrifice personal worldly pleasures for total dedication to his work. Greg's powers of concentration and focus were in evidence from about 8 years when he learned to play chess whilst living in London with his family. At 14 years of age, he represented Australia at the Junior World Chess Championship, travelling alone to Holland. At 18 years, as an international chess master, he spent a year travelling the world, participating in major chess tournaments. From a young age, he was a vegetarian, later a vegan, cooking delicious meals for his family and friends. And in recent years, he looked after 3 stray cats as though they were his own children. His playful sense of humour and love of visual beauty were always in evidence, and at one stage he also planted many trees on the sacred hill of Clarendon. Greg is dearly loved by his family and friends. His amazing pure spirit will be amongst us forever as a great source of inspiration.
This is from Bob. My brother says, I know that I should speak myself, but I am still numb and I doubt my ability to talk without breaking down. I'm grateful to my sister Pam for doing this for me. My family and friends have been very helpful and supportive, and I thank them. Pam gave me advice on what to say, and the advice was little or no biography, keep it short, 2 or at the most 3 stories, preferably funny. I don't know if I can keep to those rules. Greg was born in June 1963 at Bethesda Hospital, and I was an intern at the Royal Melbourne Hospital at the time, so I was rather busy. The early bit was unremarkable, well, that was what I thought, and he started at Press Hill Preschool. He still has some friends from there. We were in London for 4 years, and while there, Greg went to the local state primary schools, nothing special. I had a lot of pleasure from reading to him, C.S. Lewis, Edith Nesbit, etc. And I kept reading to him, but it ran out of steam when we got to Dickens. When he was about 7 or 8, Greg came to me and said, did I know about the straight line in maths symbols? I didn't know what he was talking about, but he explained it to me. If a maths symbol does not have a clean, uncut, horizontal dash in it, then you can reverse the numbers. So 2 plus 3 is the same as 3 plus 2. But if there is a clean, uncut, horizontal dash, then you can't reverse the numbers. So 2 minus 3 is not the same as 3 minus 2. And similarly, with multiplication, reversal okay, and division, which has a dash, so reversal is not okay. I had not heard of it. I suppose it might have been from a teacher, but it sounded to me like he had figured it out for himself. Perhaps this was his first venture into symbolic logic. And if that was the case, then that was the only example of his maths work, either then or later, that I ever understood. When we came back, Greg returned to Press Hill, and he was okay there for a while, but after a few years there were problems, and we never sorted them out completely. He moved to St Leonard's, and that was better, although there were a few problems, but he settled. There were some very good teachers there. When he was at Press Hill, the principal was Margaret Little. She'd been there for decades, and she told me that she had known a lot of kids like Greg, and they hated school all the way. But once they got to university, they were happy, and that is pretty much what happened here. Of more importance to Greg at this stage was his chess. When he was about 6, he came to me and said that he wanted to learn chess. I told him that he was far too young. I was quite wrong about that, but that was years before I found about Capablanca and others. When Greg was 7, Nola and I went to a dinner party at the house of a colleague, and while we were downstairs eating food, he went upstairs with their 2 sons and he was taught chess. When we came back to Melbourne, he would play at the Melbourne and Waverley chess clubs. I would drive him there when I could. It turned out that he was good at academic things as well as chess, and I've been surprised and pleased to follow his career. Only in the last few days have I realised the extent of his ability, as set out in the tributes that have flown in. He died Wednesday night of last week, and he was found dead on a footpath in Carlton, near the corner of Carlton Street and Canning Street, near the Exhibition Gardens, and near his house in Nicholson Street. When I spoke to the police, they said there had been no sign of violence or sign of foul play. The autopsy on Monday showed coronary artery disease, with the left anterior descending artery of 20% proximal stenosis and a 90% distal stenosis. I spoke to the pathologist and he thought that this was the cause of his sudden death. I have not dealt with his vegetarianism or his love of cats or his rather mixed history with relationships. This runs in the family a bit. He was a lovely, warm, caring person, and I myself am left feeling empty. I'm haunted by disbelief, an inability to understand it, and a terrible sadness.